why we were born just to suffer. Sup guys, this is Julio on the area, and welcome to my channel, The Entertainment Boy. Here you will find lots of fun, and you will find also reviews of films, skits, and many other things here. I promise you it will be so much cool, and you will be entertained. And to start this video with a golden key, or rather, a copper key, I will analyze a film called Strawberry Shortcake, the Sweet Dreams movie. But before I talk about what I thought of the film in general, I'll talk about what Strawberry Shortcake is. Strawberry Shortcake initially started out as a character on American greetings cards around 1972 to 1973, and she was a huge hit on those cards. Then new characters began to appear on these cards, until in 1979, toy manufacturer Kenner Products launched the Strawberry Shortcake doll, which was also a huge success. Starting in the 80s, the franchise produced several series and even a game for the Atari 2600. The franchise produced 2 films, both in CGI animation, one in 2006 called Strawberry Shortcake, the Sweet Dreams movie, which will be the film I will analyze, and another in 2009 called the Strawberry Shortcake movie, Sky's the Limit. To tell you the truth, I grew up with the 2003 series of the franchise. That series was never one of my favorite series of all time, but it was decent. The animation was adorable, the songs were catchy, and the characters were very likable. Okay, now that I talked about her, I will talk about the film. And after exactly 1 hour, 23 minutes and 11 seconds of torture, I will say, this movie sucks. Like, it really sucks. I wasn't really expecting much from a Strawberry Shortcake film, but Jesus Christ, this has to be one of the worst animated films I've ever seen in my entire life. So let's talk about the film right now. So, go ahead, relax, grab some candies or sweets or whatever you just have at your house and enjoy the show. Firstly, I will talk about the story. It's just as bland, weak and predictable as you can imagine. So basically in the fictional town of Strawberryland, Strawberry Shortcake and her friends realize that the strawberry fields have simply disappeared out of nowhere, and they dream of more strawberries appearing. Then Paimon and Sour Grapes show up to try to stop everyone from dreaming, which isn't a good thing, right? When Strawberry Shortcake decides out of the blue to have a slumber party with her friends at her house and they are all asleep, a species of a sleep bug appears in a very suggestive format that I can't say what it is or else I will be demonetized. Also, listen to her voice.
Strawberry, wake up! Listen! Need to talk!
Oh, my freaking God, how the heck could the producers hire such an annoying voice like that? Furthermore, was she supposed to sound feminine? Because it looks like they hired an out-of-tune comedian cat to do that annoying and scary voice. But going back to this film, after all this nonsense, Ginger Snap, the group's architect, builds a dreamboat to stop the villains from taking over everyone's dreams and blah blah blah. First of all, what kind of plot is this? It looks like it was written by a 3-year-old. And also, almost nothing happens in this film during the beginning. I'm serious. Literally, nothing happens until 30 minutes into the film. The beginning didn't even feel like a movie, it just felt like a bunch of conversations about what was going on. What is this? A Vita Brinquedo movie? Another problem is that there is no comedy. I'm so freaking serious. I saw the whole movie, and I couldn't find enough good jokes to balance the movie. Another issue that I had with the film is that most of the time I was quite bored. Almost nothing interesting happened during the film, not even some ambitious parts that could focus me. I really felt very bored watching this film. Okay, now that I talked about the overall content of the film, I will talk about the characters. I think the characters should be entered into the Guinness World Records book for the most forgettable characters in all animated films history. The main characters, Strawberry Shortcake, her friends, and the pets, Putcake and Custard, are just boring. Most of the main characters have little to no personalities. That's not how characters works. You have to include personalities that makes them so unique and charming to see. But in this godforsaken film, the producers didn't even cared about it and let the main characters have nothing more in them. It doesn't matter that the characters are likable, that they can't have any personalities at all. Okay, now, what about the villains? Maybe you were expecting some type of villains, like Pitch Black, from Rise of the Guardians. He was dark, cruel, evil, gave children nightmares and was incredibly powerful. The producers could have this chance to include that type of villains in this film, right? No, they didn't. Instead of getting this opportunity, they had to choose
Hyman and sour grapes.
Seriously, producers. You could have this opportunity to put that type of villains on this film, but no, you had to choose the most predictable and boring villains I've ever seen. Instead of choosing a unique villain with a tragic and deep backstory that could convince everyone, you chose two predictable and boring villains that don't convince me at all. They enter the film immediately and we already know they are the villains. And, no, not even Hyman's tragic backstory can save this film at all. The other members of the Land of Dreams, PJ, Sandman and the Dream Builders, are pretty forgettable. They just feel like generic adds to the Land of Dreams, just for the convenience of the plot. I just can't remember anything about them. Now let's go to the giant elephant in the room, the animation. Holy crap, this has to be one of the most scariest animations I've ever seen in my whole life. To prove this, I'm going to show you a little montage about the scariest parts of the animation. Holy crap, this is simply disgusting. Where's the love? Where's the effort? Where's the passion? Just showing this montage gave me chills to this day. And a funny thing I ended up finding out is that this film was distributed in theaters in select cities. But I can't describe how an animation as ugly, horrifying and scary as heck could be in theaters. If children saw these poorly modeled, demonic faces on screen, they would definitely have nightmares. And in fact, that was exactly the same feeling I felt. I honestly was afraid watching this movie, and I don't mean that in a hyperbolic way. I was genuinely scared by the animation in this movie. The worst of all is that when the film gave close-ups of the characters' faces, I almost had a heart attack. I hid a lot of the time during the movie because I was quite terrified if there were more scary faces in front of me. In fact, the animation was so bad that I had to take breaks from watching the movie. The animation looks like it was taken from a cutscene from a PS2 game. In fact, the animation is so ugly and so grotesque that it makes Hoodwink look like a masterpiece in comparison. The character designs are very poor and stiff, and no, not even the sets can save this film, because they are all so terrifying to look at. If only the film was made entirely in 2D, that would save the film a little. But no, they chose to use CGI, and that obviously doesn't help the movie at all. I understand I'm not the best animator, but I can describe how an animation from specific medias are. And I understand this film was made in 2006 and CGI animation was still developing. But guys, in 2006, we had films like Happy Feet, Cars, Monster House and Open Season, and these films had much better CGI animation than this ugly and grotesque animation equivalent to a PS2 game. Now let's move on to the next topic, before I have another heart attack. Now, what about the voice acting? Well, she's bad. The voice acting is very bad. I like that most of the main cast reprises their roles, but couldn't the voice actors have a little more emotion and feelings in their lines? Each voice actor speaks their lines with disinterest, disgust and without strength, which also doesn't help the quality of the film. And the dialogue? Is bad. Is so insanely bad. The lines are incredibly boring, predictable and kind of irritating. Every time the characters say something, I just say, I do not care. Just resolve the problem so this film can be over. And what about the music? Well, the music is also awful. The music sounds like generic lackluster straight-to-video music, made of cutesy tones and cheesy melodies. But, the music is at its worst when the characters break out into songs. Yes, this film is also a musical, and all of the songs are dreadful. The songs, aside from the original cartoon, are not catchy, the lyrics are bull crap, and all of the songs talk about the same thing. Dreams, dreams, dreams and dreams. Oh, my god. The compositors couldn't think about other things than just dreams. Now let's move on to the conclusion before I decide to rip out my eyes. To conclude, Strawberry Shortcake, the Sweet Dreams movie is possibly one of the worst animated films I've ever seen in my entire life. Nothing about this film is good. The plot, the characters, the animation, the voice acting, and the songs, everything is just plain awful and terrible. In fact, this movie was only made to gain money, and you can see that the film has no charm at all. If the movie was done properly, then it wouldn't be bad, but it saddens me to say that nobody cared about the tiniest details of the film. If I would rate this film, I would give a strong 0 out of 10, considering this film to be one of the worst animated films of all time. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Like, subscribe and comment about what you thought about my review. See you next time for another video of this channel. Good luck and goodbye.